Here are my top 10 albums of the year. Going to talk about them a little bit more in depth. If you want to hear all of the albums that I reviewed this year, about 135 of them. There are several videos on my channel with more edited music video style videos if you want to see my opinions on those. But again, here are my top 10 from 2025. Number 10 is the album Chrysalis by Genevieve. This is from someone who I've never really heard of before, and it's only their second album, but it's just some beautiful contemporary R&B with neo soul in there as well. Just a beautiful combination. It's only their second album, and they're still pretty young and still at it. So haven't really heard a lot of people been talking about this, but it's just been something that I've been on repeat for this whole year. So great album. Incredibly silky, smooth, kind of gives that laid back city pop kind of vibes at some point. Pretty catchy as well. Just something that needs more attention for sure. At number 9, I have Bleeds by Wednesday. This is a band that I've been listening to for quite some time. They have a really cool combination of like noise rock and slacker rock with like this alt country style that they've really made their own. Just has this really interesting mix of feeling more homegrown and familiar while still feeling kind of distorted and manic at times. I even wrote that it has a lot of cool influences that combine to make it sound like a nostalgic fist fight, I guess. Number 8 is from a band that blew up a few years ago, and I just couldn't really get into their sound, but for some reason this album just really stuck with me. It is the album Moisturizer by Wet Leg. Got this great sound of like post-punk revivalism with some indie rock and garage rock sounds into it as well. Really quirky, some kind of sexual themes on there as well. Pretty romantic as well. Just a really great female vocalist-led album, and they really killed it on this. Number 7 on my list definitely has to be my metal album of the year, although it's a lot more than that. It is the album I Don't Want to See You in Heaven by the Callous Daoboys. A mix of alternate metal with some mathcore, metalcore, some kind of like avant-garde themes in there as well. There are some elements that include a lot more string-backed sections, more experimental, some spoken word passages on there as well that really paint more of a grand picture. They start the album by theming it as the museum of failure and that they are several years in the future and that they've discovered this album and that they are a failure. And the closing track also ties in those themes as well. So a lot of really great songs on this. Great gym album as well. I'm a sucker for a thematic album. What can I say? Number 6 on my list was short but still pretty sweet from one of my favorite rappers of all time. It is Don't Tap the Glass by Tyler, the Creator. Went more in like a pop rap dance sound, very West Coast vibes coming from this. Some synth funk, some Miami bass on there. It is an album that is made purely for you to get up, dance, not think too heavily about what's going on, which threw me a little bit for a loop considering what his last album and some of his previous albums in his catalog were. But after the success of artists and albums like GNX, kind of, throwing that to the wayside and just kind of focusing on the vibes of it, I totally understand why this release. Definitely something that I played a lot this year and just a lot of really, really fun vibes on this. Number 5 is everyone's favorite indie darlings right now, Geese, with the album Getting Killed. I've seen it on a lot of different lists like this so far. I did combine 2 albums for this spot. I also put Heavy Metal by Cameron Winter in this spot. I really love those albums so much. I just put them together because the Cameron Winter album came out so late in 2024 that I didn't really get a chance to put it on my year-end list. However, going forward, I will be putting late December or mid-December albums into next year's list. So wanted to put this one on here just because I love the hell out of both of them. If I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be the Cameron Winter solo project, but still, indie rock, art rock, psychedelic rock, some art punk on there as well, some bluesy elements. Really covers a lot of different bases that their album before this did as well, 3D Country, which I also loved, put on my year-end list. So not just a bandwagon fan, so suck it. At number 4 is the album Sincerely by Kali Uchis, just brimming with this beautiful vintage R&B sound mixed with neo soul. Emotionally very potent lyrics dedicated to her newborn daughter and her mother as well. Very well paced. The transitions are very, very slick, which is something I really enjoy. Feels much more cohesive than anything she's put out before. I've really enjoyed that. Very heartwarming, very beautiful album. That's absolutely my new favorite from her. She's been kind of putting out like pretty solid, but not like over the top great albums. And I think this is a very big high point in her career. Number 3 on this list is someone that I also did not really expect to be this high, someone who I've only really enjoyed casually, but they really knocked it out the park with this one. It is Glockavelli by Key Glock. This combination of trap, Memphis rap, southern hip-hop, gangsta rap, some songs kind of have this chipmunk soul sound on it. is just so infectious, something that I could walk down the street to and just feel like a king. Just something that I had on like day in and day out. Again, another one that's still very good for the gym. I know I kind of have that gym reviewing style to me, but it's just something that I had on repeat. Someone that I only really casually enjoyed, but this really pushed it over the edge, and everything on here is just so catchy. The production is just awesome. So kudos to Key Glock. Number two on my list is also from a newcomer for me, but someone who has absolutely been blowing up this year. It is Olivia Dean with The Art of Loving. Just an awesome mix of soul, R&B, and pop to make a soft but warm and sweet album for me. A touch of synth in the production as well that really caught my ear. But this is the first pop artist, in my opinion, that uses this sound of like pop soul and doesn't really make it sound too overplayed. There are some artists that tried to incorporate this in their sound, but just couldn't really get the mixture perfectly for me. The concept of falling in and out of love obviously is done before, but I feel like she does it in a position of power on the lyrics on this, and not just like a sloppy, messy breakup POV like her previous album was a little bit, and that a lot of newer albums tend to be a little bit. So just the way that everything was incorporated very well, I think deserves some credit. I'm really excited to see where she goes forward, and absolutely sticky melodies and hooks that just, it was an earworm the entire year for me. But hands down, the number one album of the year, no doubt in my mind, has to be this new Clipse album, Let God Sort 'Em Out. The story and background behind this album is just so sprawling, and it takes, a decade plus to get caught up back into things. It is Pusha T and Malice, two brothers who were putting out music in the 2000s and I think the 90s as well, with this gangster rap and hardcore hip hop southern sound to it that really caught the world by storm. That's really how they got their name, and they haven't put out an album since I believe 2010 or 2009 till The Casket drops. And this is their comeback. So many great appearances. Kendrick is on this. Tyler, the Creator, is on this. Nas has a great verse on this. So many great people come together on this to make this sound so much better. And they, a lot of comeback artists or albums tend to be a little shaky. There was a couple good ones this year. The other one I can think off the top of my head was De La Soul, also put out a pretty great one. But this one is just so powerful. The coke-dusted bars all across this, the boastful, male rapping, Malice coming back from being no Malice to sound absolutely amazing. Pusha T really holding down his own. The production is just immaculate. Everything on here comes together to create more than all the parts put into it. Like, all the weaving subplots in this album are so awesome. The fact that Clipse had to leave Def Jam Records to even put out the record Chains and Whips with Kendrick because they didn't want to get sued by Drake because of a Kendrick beef, only to then be signed to Roc Nation. The fact that they had to get the sample cleared for So Be It, and they almost didn't, so they put out So Be It Part 2, and the beat wasn't as good, but they paid a bunch of money to the guy that had the beat to actually get it out. His whole beef with Jim Jones, his whole beef with Travis Scott, who he actually puts on the end of So Be It. Everything going into this was just incredible. The fact that so much effort and time, was put into it. The Pharrell production on there as well is just so great. Everything on here was pushed out to be just a beautiful, amazing rap album, and that's 100% what they did, and that is why that is my number one album of 2025. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. Let me know what you guys thought of the list. Let me know what your number one album of the year is. Again, if you want to see my whole year-end list, I did 135 albums this year, which took a whole bunch of time. That is going to be at least on my TikTok, but I'm going to start putting it onto other socials as well. And yeah, it was a great year for music. I definitely had a great time, and hope you did as well. That's going to do it from Zeke and I. Zeke, say goodbye. Damn, okay.